Marvel Rivals, the game that was praised as being the Overwatch killer, the new best hero shooter, if you will. And now, its player count is almost equal to that of Overwatch 2. Just comes to show how repetitive and unfun these hero shooters are. However, I have arrived to solve this issue. I have spent the past month and a half coming up with a concept for an alternative to Marvel Rivals. DC Rivals. Now, while yes, this has been done multiple times, I've done it differently. See, most people just show characters that they think are cool and say, yeah, he'd be a Vanguard, and move on. But I went the extra mile. I made full character concepts for 10 DC characters with fully voiced movesets by some very talented people who will each be linked down below in the description. Anyways, moving on, I'll be presenting each character one by one. If you want to see a specific character, the timestamps are in the description, so feel free to jump ahead. If you'd like to see me make more of these types of videos, let me know down in the comment section below. Be sure to join the Discord to join the community. Enjoy. So, the first character that I will be showing you is Raven from the Teen Titans. I don't have any cool character concept art, so you'll just have to stick with this little PNG of Raven from the show. Raven is a strategist. Yes, I will be using Marvel Rivals terminology, healer, strategist, same thing. Raven will have 275 health. I've picked this out because Luna Snow also has that much health. We'll be going off Marvel Rivals numbers as well since it's DC Rivals. So, for Raven, her passive is that Raven is always in the air and has full freedom which direction to go in. I picked this out obviously because in the shows and comics she's always flying around with, you know, her legs tucked in. She's just like a flying cloak, so I thought it would be fun. It would also be a flying healer, unlike fucking Ultron, who's like half a healer but he can fly, which means you got scammed. However, here you can actually have a flying comp. Raven's primary fire will be a beam of dark magic, which drains the enemy's health by 10 health per second and gives Raven half that health, so 5 health per second. Or if she has full health and she's still draining you, she gains 2.5 shields per second. This beam also consumes Raven over time with a threshold of 100. So once it reaches 75% of constant firing, it stops giving Raven health and shields and just damages the opponent. And once it reaches 100, you can start hearing Trigon's voice whispering in Raven's ear, kind of like Khonshu and Moon Knight, and she starts losing 10 HP per second. Now the second part of the primary fire is when Raven fires this beam at her allies. It gives them the same amount of health she had at a speed of 10 HP per second, and same for shields. And she can also die from this, meaning you can have moments where you're healing your friend and you kill yourself to give them all of your HP so that they have a chance of killing somebody you're hell-bent on murdering. Raven's secondary fire is that she has 3 orbs in store, which can be renewed over time, 1 orb per 5 seconds. These orbs can either damage people or can be thrown at surfaces, which does less damage but stuns the enemy for 0.5 seconds. It's like a combination of Scarlet Witch's like throw bombs and her like stun bubble with a smaller range. The first ability Raven has is called Black Raven form, where she flies up, becomes this sort of Black Raven. I have an image over here, and she flies downwards, sucking in anybody in her way or just in the hitbox of the Raven, and brings them with her, crashing down into the floor, dealing AoE damage, and dealing damage to everybody that she took with her. The explosion also stuns everybody around her for 2 seconds, and just holds them still with black tentacles coming out of her. Second ability is very simple. Raven puts a shield on her ally, which lasts 6 seconds and protects them from all forms of damage coming from the front of the person. So it's a combination of Magneto's shield, but it only covers the front. However, it works sort of like Invisible Woman's shield, but it's held onto you. So it's like a front shield, but it moves with you. For Raven's ultimate, she basically loses control, Trigon takes over her, and a bunch of black tentacles come out from the bottom. I'll have some sort of reference image here. And her primary fire turns into an impale. So she sends out one of the tentacles she has and it impales somebody, does like a little animation. It sucks out 50% of the person's total HP. Doesn't matter if they're a tank, the strategist, whatever. It takes out 50% of their health, their total health. So if they're half health, it will take all of their health, right? and gives all of it to Raven. So if she takes a tank in and she has full health, she's gonna, let's say the tank has 600 health, she's gonna gain 300 shields. The ultimate lasts 12 seconds, and yes, you can impale multiple people at the same time, so... But the impale has sort of an end lag to it, so I guess you could, like... You could impale the entire team, but you can only do it one at a time with each tentacle. Once it's over, Raven returns to her normal state, and her shields start ticking down at a rate of 10 shields per second, so she's essentially forced to heal her teammates. Or she can run in and, like, try to kill people, and just keep the health at a constant, I guess, but like that's not really useful, so it's more like a healing ultimate, but it's also offensive, so it helps you push very much because it sucks the opponent's health. You can kill some of them, and it lets you heal your allies.
Can someone patch me up? Thanks. All that reading finally paid off. Azarath, Mantri, and Zinthos! I won't let you die. Never struck me as the rightful heir. Age hasn't helped her reflexes, huh? Sorry, Jinx. Girls' night out tomorrow? Finally, some peace and quiet.
Friend Raven! How good it is to see you! Ever since you... Oh, never mind.
Ever since I... What happens to me in your future, Star? Tell me.
Oh, the nothing. Nightwing prohibited me from telling you what happens in our future, as it may lead to some unwanted altercations in your timeline.
Whatever it is, your Raven is in a better place now, Star. Don't ever forget that. And hey, I can assure you, you're always my favorite.
Oh, thank you, friend Raven. Perhaps after the battle, we may leave for some candy of cotton.
Sure. That sounds fun. So, you do party tricks. Cool.
They're not party tricks. It's real magic. Although, yes, I am dressed like a show person. But still.
Right. Can you pull a bunny out of your hat?
Well, technically...
Party tricks.
Moving on, we have another strategist, Jinx. Also from Teen Titans. Yes, I am a Teen Titans fan. She has 250 health. I picked this out because Jinx has a sort of self-healing passive, which I will be going over now. So her passive is that she receives 50% less healing. Right, that sounds really bad. But her health regenerates based on the amount of enemies that are inflicted by anti-heal, since her kit focuses on anti-heal. And anti-heal works differently than in Marvel Rivals. It completely cuts off your healing. You cannot get healed. It's not as busted or stupid as Blade, where you have a duelist that literally counters the entire strategist part of the game. She's a strategist herself, so she doesn't only focus on anti-heal, she can also heal her allies. She gains 3 HP per second per person that has active anti-healing. So if she has 2 people, she gets 6 HP per second, and the anti-heal lasts 7 seconds from the moment that it's inflicted. Her second passive is that she has a double jump, because she is very acrobatic in the show. Sometimes in the comics, but she's not that prominent in the comics from what I've seen. I definitely prefer the show version of her, and she's very acrobatic and just agile there. Her primary fire is that she can fire 10 bolts of bad luck, which sounds very cringe and strange, but essentially the bolts do 20 damage per hit. They're not hit scan, they're projectiles. And if the enemy has been inflicted with anti-heal, these bolts don't inflict. If they have been inflicted with anti-heal, this also does 30 damage. Her secondary fire is that she can course her magic through the floor, creating sort of slashes that go through the ground towards the enemies. I'll try to find a reference image for this. I don't know which episode this is from, but I know that it exists. This attack does 40 damage and inflicts anti-heal, so you can kind of mix and match the primary and secondary fire, but Jinx only has 3 of these slashes, and they regenerate by 1 slash per 6 seconds. Her first ability is called Umbrella Twirl, where Jinx courses magic into her hand and does a pirouette, knocking everybody close to her away and stunning them for half a second, inflicting anti-heal. This is sort of like a move that you do if you're getting ganked by a dive, as I could say, as it lets you kind of escape, stuns them, knocks everybody away. Her second ability, Star-Crossed Modesty, where Jinx can use her acrobatics to quickly dash in any direction while channeling magic through her body, inflicting anti-heal on anybody that she dashes into and dealing 30 damage. She has 2 of these dashes in store with individual cooldowns of 15 seconds. So she can dash from side to side, not from side to one side and then back. She can dash forward twice, she can dash backwards twice, but then she loses them. But she inflicts anti-heal and it deals 30 damage. So very, again, acrobatic character, so I decided to give her this. Her ultimate is called Pure Misfortune, where she fires a beam of bad luck from both her hands, dealing 20 damage per second, but it also travels very slowly. What I mean by that is, obviously it has infinite range. Let me preface this, so it's like Ultron's primary fire. However, it's really hard to turn, so you need to keep the enemies in one line, as it also goes through all of them. But if like they all move to the side, it'll be really difficult to move to the left because it slows down, and it doesn't change with sensitivity. If you have high sensitivity, it won't matter. It'll move the same speed. This attack also inflicts anti-heal for 20 seconds, contrary to the normal 7 seconds you have on any enemy hit. On top of all of this, it also causes each enemy's next attack to backfire, dealing the appropriate damage to them and stunning them for 1 second. So if somebody tries to ultimate after they've been hit by this, they will hit themselves with their ultimate. Not doing the animation, if you click the ultimate button, it'll just do the damage that it would do. If it's a heal ultimate, it'll do nothing, and it'll stun them for 1 second.
Alas, I'm wounded. Could someone heal the cursed queen? Wow, better than spilled salt over my shoulder. Death's just a short break. I'm back. The universe tried to delete me. It failed.
If only we were indoors.
I think you missed me. Let's rewrite fate my way. Finally got what you deserved, you brat. Too pure for my taste. Wow, I never realized how itsy bitsy dick used to be.
Watch it. As much as I trust future me to trust you, you're still a criminal back on my world.
Right. With Detective Junior like a juice box and a box of crackers.
Wow. Not even time can fix your horrible sense of humor, Jinx.
Strategist number 3 is Poison Ivy, which I have given 275 health to because she doesn't have that many self-heal options. So I decided to give her a little bit more health, not too much. Her passive is basically a heal circle. So she has a sort of Luna Snow circle around her at all times. It doesn't insta-heal though. The smallest that the circle can be is non-existent, so you can just not have the circle, and the largest it can be is 3 meters at max, depending on where her floral meter is at. Her floral meter fills up as she damages enemies. The amount that Poison Ivy heals does not increase with the radius of the circle. So the higher your floral meter is, the larger your circle will be, but the healing won't increase. Her primary fire is that she creates long vines towards the enemies, which deal 30 damage with a short burst of damage. So like 3 hits if you hit them all the way through because you have thorns on the vines. If she hits the surface, the vine extends from the floor and hits the enemy, but it has to be really close to them. So it's like a little bit of like aim assist if you're next to a surface. Very good for close quarters combat. Her second ability is that she can use her floral meter to blow pheromones towards her allies in exchange for a healing circle radius. The pheromones heal thrice as much as the circle does per second, but takes less time to execute. So you can give up your entire floral bar to heal somebody to the max, but the circle, your healing circle, gets reduced depending on how much of the pheromones you blow. Her first ability is Poison Ivy sends vines through the floor, holds any enemies within her healing circle for 3 seconds, deals 10 damage plus 5 per second tick damage for 3 seconds. So 15 damage plus the initial 10, that's 25 damage, and stuns them for 3 seconds if they're within her healing circle. If you activate this without a healing circle, it literally does nothing, so the move doesn't let you activate. Kind of like Doctor Strange's like burst. If you don't have enough damage, it literally won't let you activate it. The second ability is Ivy fills her healing circle with thorny roses, which do 10 damage per second to anyone within the circle, but does no stun, and inflicts poison for 3 seconds, starting from the last time they got hit by the thorns after leaving the circle, dealing 5 damage per second. This attack lasts 10 seconds in total. So essentially, she fills the entire circle. Again, if you have no circle, this does not activate. Does damage per second, does 10 damage per second, which is absolutely insane. But this is a strategist, so I mean, she could jump in and just murder everybody. But she inflicts poison from the last time that they left the circle. So if they're within the circle, the poison lasts the whole time. When they leave, it lasts for 3 seconds beyond the time that they left the circle. Now for her ultimate, I went a little above and beyond and made this pretty funny. So Poison Ivy releases a cloud of pheromones that messes with the enemy's vision and causes their perception of the world to change into a happy flower-filled plain, with the sun shining, essentially hiding the entire team. To the inflicted enemies, their health bar is at full, but their health is actually ticking down at 20 HP per second for 8 seconds. So this activates. This goes beyond her circle, so she blows a cloud of pheromones around her. I don't know, I haven't thought of the exact radius, because I need to test it out physically, which I can't. And just makes every enemy hit by this see like a plane of flowers. It doesn't teleport them, it just changes their vision. Their health bar is at full. You could literally have 1 health and then think that you have max health after this, so it does confuse you a lot. And it's up to your healers to kind of help you if your healers weren't hit by this attack. This also ticks down your health 20 per second for 8 seconds, meaning that you take 180 damage from this attack. If Poison Ivy's allies help her, you will just be decimated.
This flower needs tending to, if anyone may. Maybe humanity isn't as bad as I thought it was. All life comes back. Eventually. Who doesn't love roses? Time to sleep, my darlings. You have no idea how long I've wanted to do that. That's for ruining Harley.
Hiya, Ivy. Haven't seen you since we went, splits.
Let me remind you, Harley, you tried to shoot me that day because I was showing signs of red flags.
Hey, I made myself a rule that the next relationship I put myself in, I'll always be on the lookout for red flags. And if I found any, I'll do the right thing and shoot the person.
I'm glad I don't have to be around you every day anymore. But we can hang out every once in a while, Harley.
Next we have a duelist, Robin, from Teen Titans, who has 275 health. He is a duelist with strategist capabilities, so he's what they tried to do with Ultron, but in my opinion, did it better. My opinion doesn't matter. His passive is that he can double jump. I think this is self-explanatory. Robin is a very agile character, very acrobatic. His primary fire does a 4-hit combo with his bow staff that ends with him holding the staff up and spinning it, ending the combo with a knockback of him flailing the staff. When in the air, the primary fire turns into a dive where Robin lunges downwards, knees first into the floor, dealing 50 damage and 0.25 seconds of stun, which has 10 seconds of cooldown. It's like Captain America's jump smash thingy. This was also taken from the legendary moment where Robin knee drops into some random guy that was born 2 seconds ago, basically murdering him. His secondary fire is his grapple gun. Robin has 4 uses of his grappling hook, which have an individual cooldown of 15 seconds. The grappling hook can do one of 3 things. It can allow Robin to swing across the map using momentum to propel him forward, basically Spider-Man swinging. 2, allow him to pull his allies towards him. This also shows an animation of Robin slapping a disc onto their back, giving them 50 shields, so this is the strategist capability. And then 3, allows Robin to pull enemies towards him, stunning them for 0.5 seconds and dealing 20 damage. So this is like if Spider-Man was a strategist sort of move. For his first ability, it's called Birdarangs, which gives Robin 3 Birdarangs at his disposal with individual cooldowns of 10 seconds. These Birdarangs essentially act as explosives that can be triggered at any time. However, the detonator itself has a cooldown of 20 seconds. The maximum amount of explosive that can be triggered at once is 4. The explosions deal 70 damage and have no AoE. They also make this sound when they blow up. So basically you throw mines onto people. If they hit the floor, you lose the cooldown and they do nothing. You have to hit a person with them and then they're basically triggered. You have a little icon above their head with like Robin's face. And then you can fire all of them or you can fire one, depends on what you want. Deals 70 damage, no AoE. Not that crazy, but mixed with a lot of the other stuff is pretty good. For his second move, I did the stun disc, where he throws a disc down and stuns anyone within a 2-meter radius for 1 second, deals 10 damage per second for 4 seconds. This shock disc can also cancel ultimates. If the disc lands directly on an enemy, they take 2 seconds of stun and are instantly hit with the 40 damage. Basically, he can throw this across the map. This acts like Penny's Mines, but it's a stun, which gives him very good strategy capabilities. He's not like a one-on-one duelist type of character. He's just like very annoying. Basic Spider-Man, but better. For his ultimate, also very funny, it's called the Robin's Calling, where he throws down a smoke grenade, blinding everyone around him for 7 seconds, including his teammates. The furthest you can see in front of you is half a meter, and your movement is slowed down by half. This depends on the character that you're playing. So let's say the Flash is there, he would only move half of his actual speed. Robin activates Heat Vision for the duration of the smoke bomb and gains a damage boost of 25%. No stun is applied during the entire duration of the ultimate. The range of the smoke bomb is 10 meters in radius. Also, all sound is cut when this is done, meaning you can't hear your teammates, see any pings, or hear any abilities that the enemy team activates, nor your allies activate. This is just a screw over ultimate, where you can trick the enemies into doing something, like, I don't know, grouping up together and then hitting them with some devastating ultimate.
Might need some help here, guys. Whoa. Even better than those Tibetan techniques. Wow. Raven really does know her stuff. I think you might need this. Pop goes the weasel. Whoa there. Might want to slow down. Now you see me? Now you don't! Guess age hasn't been the best to you, Bruce. Told you I'm fit for the Justice League. Watch it. As much as I trust future me to trust you, you're still a criminal back on my world. Wow. Not even time can fix your horrible sense of humor, Jinx.
Sorry, my throat's getting a little fucked. Stay hydrated, kids. For the next duelist, we will be having Miss Harley Quinn, who has 250 HP. Again, the reason I picked this out is because of her passive, which is Harley's blood is infused with a sort of toxic chemical, which gives her somewhat regenerative abilities in a way. Essentially, when she deals damage, her max health is increased by a small amount, up to 400, but she doesn't heal this. It just increases the limit of her health. If she stops dealing damage, her maximum health starts ticking back down to normal. So if she's crazy firing, she's running into the enemy team, holding down gunfire, and she has a healer up her ass, then she has a lower chance of dying because her maximum health is going up. But this only applies to when she's damaging enemies, not random things and shields and stuff like that. Her primary fire is that she fires 2 assault rifles that she carries in each hand. They have a collective ammunition of 30 bullets, and they have a very large spray since she's holding 2 of them and not aiming that much, so it's kind of a makeshift SMG. She also reloads the guns by juggling them. When she's firing, she can also dive either left or right to dodge oncoming fire without needing to stop firing. So she can be shooting and then dodge to the left, and she just falls onto the floor and does a side flip. And during the flip animation, she's not firing and is an open target for a little bit. So this is like kind of a kill confirm kind of mix-up sort of thing. Her secondary fire is that she can swap. This isn't really a secondary fire, it's just like a secondary thing where she can swap her guns for an RPG that she carries on her back, which has 1 ammo and a very long reload time, but it does 70 AoE damage and 120 on a direct hit. Her first ability is a giant hammer that I've dubbed the Batwhacker because I think that's what's written on the back of her truck in Lego Batman 2. Very specific reference, but I just remembered that while making her. This attack starts with her smashing forward, dealing 50 damage to anyone in the hitbox, no AoE damage, and knocking them to the floor for 0.5 seconds. She also launches up in the air and has the option to smack back down with the hammer, dealing an extra 40 damage wherever she's aiming. You can't jump forward and then aim back and then hit backwards because that doesn't physics. You have like a sort of 130 degree angle left and right collectively where you can aim and then hit somebody in front of you. So very good for diving, quote unquote. Her second ability I've called Killer Instincts, where she pulls out 2 Desert Eagles and enters a state where she dodges any attack coming her way, not including ultimate attacks. Whenever she's attacked in this state, she fires back and one of the deagles does 20 damage. This is directly inspired from the scene of her murdering people in the Suicide Squad. Same with the assault rifles. This state lasts 3 seconds at max and can also be cancelled. Her ultimate is called Ecstatic Overdrive, where she enters a high state after injecting her with some sort of drug, let's say, and her perception of the world turns into sunshine and rainbows, and the enemy team is turned into cartoon versions of themselves. Her rifle turns into food cannons, but in reality it's just like the Punisher's ultimate, where she has infinite ammo and fires at an increased rate. And her movement is slowed to walking speed, but she's given 200 shields to compensate for that. So for her, she's firing food at a bunch of cartoon characters, but in reality she's raining hellfire, which I think is very fitting for somebody like Harley.
Hey, I'm dying over here. Phew. Thanks for that, sugar. If that ain't a bad dream, I don't know what is. Wow, and I just got my hair done. Watch your faces. Hold still. Care for a dance, sweetie? Man, what a buzzkill. Sunshine, lollipops, and bullets all over. Nothing personal, bird boy. I took absolutely no pleasure in that, Ivy. Holy smokes. Nobody told me I was on a team with such a hot chick.
Oh, you flatter me, clown. But keep your hands to yourself. I'm not in the mood for small talk, especially from someone so, mundane.
What a joke. I guess all that class and modesty couldn't fix your attitude, huh, sweetheart?
If we weren't on the same team, I'd crush your skull just to free myself of your endless rambling mouth.
Hey! Someone here's gotta set the mood and keep the conversation going, and it sure as hell ain't gonna be you, lady.
Jumping back into the strategist wagon, we have the last strategist, who is Zatanna Zatara, who has 275 HP. Her passive is that she's immune to any negative effect, excluding stun, which means she can't be poisoned, she can't be dealt anti-heal, she can't take any negative effect in the entire game. Her primary fire is her flicking her wand and shooting out pinkish, purplish bolts that deal 15 damage per hit, and she has 10 of these before she has to reload. These bolts have a side effect depending on who she hits. If she hits her allies, they gain 10 HP and all the negative effects are removed from them, including stun. If an enemy is hit by one of these bolts, any negative effect that is placed on them is extended by 2 seconds, including stun, anti-heal, damage, debuff, etc. So if you have, I don't know, Raven's move where she stuns you for, I think, what was it, 1 or 2 seconds, it will double that. So instead of 1 or 2 seconds, it'll be 2 to 4 seconds, which is very devastating, but she's a strategist, so she doesn't deal that much damage. Her secondary fire is actually very interesting. It's called Zatanna's Blessing, and she can place her blessing on up to one person. So it's like you aim at somebody and then you click E, let's say, and then you get like a little Zatanna icon above your head. This ability has no cooldown if it isn't triggered. So you can move the icon from person to person until the blessing is triggered, which I'll cover in a second. And obviously you can't place it on yourself because that makes no sense. The blessing itself makes it so that once somebody dies, they're brought back to life, invisible, and have 5 seconds to get somewhere, and they'll reappear with 50% of their health. Once a person dies, Zatanna loses 50% of her health, regardless of how much health she has. So if she has 1 health, she has half health now. If she had 250 health, she has 125 health. It doesn't kill her, it can't kill her, but it just reduces her health to half. If she's getting hit during this, then it still activates, she just dies with it. And the ability has a cooldown of 120 seconds once the person dies. Her first ability is that Zatanna aims at anybody on the battlefield, including enemies, and snaps her fingers, swapping places with them. If an ally is swapped with this, they gain 100 shields, but if an enemy is swapped, they gain damage over time for 3 seconds, 10 damage per second. Her second ability is Zatanna aims at her ally and holds her wand straight up, doing a twirl, and a bunch of sparkly dust falls onto her, cloning herself. Her clone runs to whatever ally she was aiming at and provides them with healing over time for as long as they're there, helps them fight, follows them around, and all that. The clone lasts 15 seconds and the cooldown is 50 seconds. The heal over time is 10 per second. For her ultimate, I've called it Showtime. Once activated, fireworks erupt around her and she pulls a bunch of doves out of her hat. Any negative effect on her allies is transferred to all the enemies within the range of the Showtime area, which is around 3 meters, let's say, meaning if she activates this in the middle of her allies being stunned, all the enemies around her are also stunned, If even one of her allies has anti-heal on them, all the other enemies gain anti-heal. The effects last the duration they're supposed to, depending on who placed them on their allies. So if like you're halfway through the stun, it'll give them the entire stun, regardless of how much stun you have left. This is a really good anti-ult that gives effect. So if you have, or for example, you could counter Poison Ivy's Thorn move. If your entire team gets hit by this automatically transfers to everybody on the opposite team, which gives you guys an advantage somewhat. It's not too overpowered, but it could work with different combinations of ultimates or moves.
Hello? Could someone help me out? Phew, thanks. Maybe I should stick to kids' birthdays. Nah. Zatanna is reborn. Whoa! I'm over here now. Wow, I really do have a strange side profile. It's showtime! Whoops. My dad will not be happy to hear this. I guess party tricks bested real magic.
Moving on to the next duelist. Cheetah is a little bit of a longer one. She only has 220 HP. This is due to the fact of her second passive, which I will be covering in a second. But first, her first passive is that all of Cheetah's attacks inflict the enemy with bleed for 2 seconds, dealing 15 damage per second, excluding her ultimate. If Cheetah attacks an enemy that has active inflicted bleed, she gains 10 HP per hit for every time she hits them in active bleed. So if you're like using your primary fire, which is a 3-hit combo with her claws, then the first hit deals bleed, the subsequent ones do too, extending the length. However, the 2 subsequent hits heal her. The second passive is that Cheetah has insane agility and acrobatic skills, meaning she can double jump, run up walls, and run 20% faster than all heroes. Her primary fire is, as I mentioned before, a 3-hit combo with her claws, each doing 15 damage. Her secondary fire is Cheetah doing a backflip, which launches an enemy in front of her into the air, stunning them for half a second. She has 2 of these with an individual cooldown of 15 seconds, and this attack does not inflict bleed. Her first ability is a lunge in any direction, upwards or downwards if she's in the air. If this connects with an enemy, triggers an animation where she claws at their face and kicks them away. This can't be cancelled, and Cheetah has damage immunity while she's in the animation, but she can be killed or stunned while she's in the lunge animation. The entire attack deals 120 damage, excluding the inflicted bleed. The second ability is called Predator Mode, which sounds very strange, but I couldn't think of anything else to call this. I guess I'll call it Cheetah Mode, which shows an animation of her licking her paw, hand, claw thing, and it triggers the mode, which lasts 10 seconds. It changes her vision, letting her see through walls in a 30-meter radius, regardless of where they are. Her health gain passive also goes from 10 HP to 30 HP. However, her health starts ticking down at 10 HP per second for the duration of the mode, unless it's cancelled. She also gains a 20% damage buff to all her moves, excluding her ultimate. Now for the third ability, Cheetah can grab an enemy that is directly in front of her and throw them in any direction. The deciding window for this is like half a second. The enemy is stunned for the entire duration of the flight or the throw and has 1 second of stun once they hit the floor. Any enemy hit by the flying enemy, so like let's say throw the person at somebody else, is dragged along with them and suffers the same stun and damage. The grab deals bleed and does 30 damage in total. The knockdown does 10 damage to both the enemy and any enemies in the AoE of the crash. This attack can also be triggered in the air. So this can be comboed with a little backflip, attacking a backflip, double jump, and throw them, for example. For her ultimate, Cheetah can aim at any enemy and dash towards them, causing an animation of her doing an X slash on their face and licking her claws. Next, she enters a state that decides the rest of her ultimate. As she licks her claws, she can leave the body of her victim and start running towards somebody else. If she isn't killed or stunned, the animation triggers again, and this goes on forever until the timer runs out or she's stunned / killed. There are 2 timers involved in this ultimate. The first being she's looking around deciding which direction to run in, which is 2 seconds at max, and the running timer is 4 seconds at max. If it runs out, Cheetah stops running and enters back into her normal state. Cheetah has damage and vulnerability during the slashing animation, and she also has her Predator mode, Cheetah mode active during the entire duration, minus the damage ticking.
Someone be a dearie and help me out. They'll be licking their wounds once I'm done with them. I can smell your wounds. Have a taste of the floor. I'm gonna tear them apart. Failed queen is what I'd call you. Well, you didn't do as bad as Diana. I didn't think I'd see you here out of all people. Don't expect me to assist you in any way. Inque, what a surprise. I never thought I'd see you after our disagreement in Gotham.
Ah, Minerva, I remember as if it was yesterday. Let's be adults and put things behind us, shall we? I wouldn't like to make you an enemy of mine, for your sake.
Says the puddle of ink. Why don't you show up to some kid's birthday party and draw them something nice?
The kitty has claws, as expected from you. You haven't changed a bit, Minerva. I don't know how I'd feel about it yet.
Before we go any further, I'd like to preface that Wonder Woman has so many moves, it did not fit on the little Marvel Rivals template. So I will literally just be displaying my document onto the screen. I apologize in advance, but there was literally no way I could fit this many moves onto one screen. So up next we have our third and final duelist, Wonder Woman. I've given her 250 health, since she has a shield with her. Her passive is that she can do a super jump, kind of like Hulk, where she can charge it up and then whee, but she can't carry people with her like Hulk. She also has a mode switch, where she can switch between wielding the Sword of Athena and her shield to wielding the Bracelets of Submission. Yes, that is what they're called, I googled it. So for her first mode, her primary fire is her doing a 5-hit combo with the Sword of Athena, doing 20 damage each, and the final hit does 30 damage plus knockback. Her secondary is her shield, so she can block oncoming attacks with her shield, which has 150 HP only, so it's not that much. The shield will break if it's hit by an ultimate. If it's a multi-hit, it'll break and still affect her, just how Captain America's shield works, same. Her first ability is the Lasso of Truth, where she can pull in enemies and have them tell her the truth. So essentially, she'll pull them and stun them for a second, they lose 10 HP, and then they say something embarrassing, depending on what character she pulls in. The second ability is her throwing the Sword of Athena into an enemy, and you have to aim it, dealing 40 damage if hit, and the sword stays inside them. This move locks Wonder Woman in her second mode until she gets the sword back, which can be done in two ways. The first being that you run up to the person and hit your primary fire button, and if you're close enough, it'll trigger an animation where she pulls the sword back and kicks them, dealing 50 damage in 1 second of stun. The second method is that the person just dies if the enemy is killed by either Diana with another one of her moves or by an ally or themselves. The sword gravitates toward her and back into her hand. The cooldown for the move starts when she gets her sword back, so once it's inside the person, you just can't use it, and then the cooldown comes back after 15 seconds after you've gotten the sword back. If the enemy just decides to run around, you will lose your sword for the entirety of the game. If you die, then you get your sword back. Now moving on to the second mode, where she has the Bracelets of Submission on. Her primary fire is her doing a 3-hit combo, each hit doing 10 damage, with the third one doing 20. The secondary fire is that Wonder Woman uses the Bracelets of Submission to deflect any oncoming damage, gaining HP and shields equal to the damage that would have been done to her. This obviously can't be spammed, and is a mode that she enters for 2 seconds, kind of like Blade's parry or Iron Fist's parry, better example. This mode can also be cancelled, and the cooldown of the move depends on how long it was used for. The shortest cooldown is 5 seconds, and the longest is 20 seconds. The amount of damage done also fills a bar, which is relevant for her second ability. The amount of damage directly translates to a 100 damage bar, meaning 100 damage fills it up completely. First ability is that Wonder Woman smashes her bracelets together, releasing all the energy that she absorbed, and knocks all enemies 10 meters in front of her. The knockback depends on how much bar is filled from her secondary fire. If it's filled all the way up, it'll knock back 30 meters and 1 second of stun, dealing 40 damage. If it isn't filled at all, the attack knocks back 1 meter and does 5 damage. The second ability is a suplex, basically, so Wonder Woman just grabs somebody in front of her, does 50 damage, and stuns them behind her. For her ultimate, Wonder Woman enters a flying state where she can move freely through the air, and she's essentially in an enraged state. She can fly similarly to Iron Man, however, if she flies through someone, she instantly grabs them and flies upwards, throwing them into the floor, dealing huge AoE damage, followed up by Wonder Woman crashing into the floor on top of them and killing them regardless of their HP, so it's a one-shot ult. Both AoEs deal 100 damage and have 10 meters of range. The whole mode lasts 10 seconds, but the insta-kill takes you out of the mode. On top of all this, Diana can punch the air so hard it launches air bullets into the enemies, dealing 50 damage per hit. So the way you'd use this is fly up, shoot a bunch of the bullets, and then fly towards somebody to insta-kill them.
Push forward, everyone! Phew. Thanks. The mortal plane still needs me. Catch! The lasso compels you. I'll deal with them. Sorry. Didn't mean that. Kinda. Bruce taught you well, but not well enough.
Moving on to the vanguards, we have Circe, which is a very recently popularized character using creature commandos. She has 600 HP, and her passive is very basic. She can just fly, just like Raven. Her primary fire is that she fires bolts of dark magic that act as small black holes, kind of like Hela, pulling in any enemies that are within AoE vicinity. It's not a crazy pull, just like a little, like, tad bit. The bolts deal 20 AoE damage and 50 damage on a direct hit. Her secondary fire is that Circe points her finger, creates a purple black hole in front of her, and sucks in any oncoming attacks. Kinda like Sigma from Overwatch with his little, like, black hole attack. The black hole works on a breaking point. If Circe absorbs too much, the black hole will break and go on cooldown. The max damage absorbed for this is 400. So you can absorb 400 damage. If you go over, it breaks and goes on cooldown. On top of this, the damage absorbed is translated into shields for Circe. However, only 50% of the total damage is transferred. So if you get hit by 400 damage in the black hole, you gain 200 shields. You don't gain health from this though. Her first ability is that Circe fires a beam from one of her fingers and turns anybody hit by the beam into a penguin, maximizing their HP at 75% of their base health and taking all of their abilities for 4 seconds. So basically you turn them into a penguin. I don't know how else to describe this ability. It's called penguinified. Yes. Her second ability is Circe goes into a mode where her primary fire turns into lightning. It comes out of her right hand, which has infinite range and transfers from person to person. Meaning if one person is hit, it would hit another person in a radius of 2 meters. And so on with the transferred person. The lightning does tick damage of 15 damage per second, and the mode lasts 4 seconds. Her third ability is that she has 3 teleports which move her 2 meters in any direction, and she can spam this, but they have an individual cooldown of 15 seconds. She can go up, down, wherever the hell she wants to. Now for her ultimate, another Battlegrounds inspired move, she holds both her hands up and pulls them down, kind of like Whitebeard pulling the air. And after a 2-second delay, the position which she selected is bombarded with a bunch of meteors that deal 80 damage each. The bombardment lasts 5 seconds, around 15 meteors are launched down. This was originally going to be one giant meteor, like Tatsumaki does in the Strongest Battlegrounds, and just in the show in general. But I kind of changed it because I thought it would be a little bit more balanced and a little more effective if it was a barrage.
As much as I hate to admit it, I do need some help. Maybe filth does have its uses. The queen arises once more, penguinified. Time for some fireworks. Judgment is at hand. And they call you the savior of Themyscira. Rich boy in an animal suit. What a joke.
Second vanguard is going to be Starfire, who has 600 HP. Her passive is that Starfire is controlled by her emotions, as are Tamaranians, meaning that the lower her HP gets, the less damage she takes and the more damage she does, as she's in a state of anger or despair. If she's under 100 HP, she has 40% damage reduction and 25% damage boost, and it goes back to normal at 600 HP. Her primary fire is pretty basic. She shoots out bolts of energy that deal 50 damage per hit. Each bolt takes up 10 ammo. The AoE of the bolts deals 30 damage. Starfire can also burn through her ammo, turning her bolts into a beam that has infinite range and does 20 damage per second. So basically, this is Iron Man's primary and secondary. First ability is Starfire flies forward, knocking enemies away from her and dealing a small amount of damage for each person that she hits. She also has the ability to press her primary fire to grab a person in front of her, which plays an animation where she flies up and dives down with them head first, and she's invulnerable during this. The slam deals 120 damage to the person and no AoE. Second ability, one of my favorites ever, is that Starfire pulls out a plush of Silky and hugs it. This heals her for 50 HP per second for 7 seconds and gives her up to 300 shields if her health is at max. The third ability is Starfire shoots a burst of energy outwards, knocking every enemy away from her and dealing 40 damage to anyone hit by the attack. The ultimate is pretty basic, honestly. I couldn't really think of anything crazy. Starfire enters a state of rage. She looks like this, specifically from Teen Titans Go, meaning she takes 50% less damage and has 60% damage boost throughout the entire ultimate. Her primary fire also changes into laser vision, which has infinite ammo and deals 40 damage per second. All allies that stay around Starfire gain a constantly replenishing 200 shields.
Friends, I require medical attention. Thank you, friend. I will make sure whoever did this pays. Sorry, coming through. The down we go. Hut time! You will not hurt my friends! This proves the training is not a good example of real battles. We are the superior alien species, Kryptonian.
For the last character, we will have Inque from Batman Beyond. Her health is non-existent because of her very complicated passive. Her passive is that Inque has a reverse health bar. So she starts at 10 HP, that is her max HP, and has an absorption bar, which I will be calling AB. As she takes damage, her absorption bar gets filled up to a maximum of 1,500. If she takes damage more than 1,500, she explodes and dies. If she only takes damage in intervals, the absorption bar depletes, allowing her to stay alive. Essentially, she absorbs all forms of damage until it's too much to absorb and she bursts. This also means she can't be healed at all, excluding her 10 HP. The depletion of the AB bar takes her back to 10 HP. The more she absorbs, the larger she gets in size as well, also she gets uglier. Inque also has 3 phases of AB. The first phase of AB starts from 0, the next one starts from 700, and then the last one starts from 1200. This is important for certain moves. Her primary fire is Inque sending out bullets made of ink towards the enemies in small bursts. So like, she starts with 3 bullets when she's in 1 AB, 5 bullets when she's in 2 AB, and 7 bullets in 3 AB. Each doing 20 damage. Her secondary fire is Inque can throw out ink puddles that act as bear traps, meaning when the enemy steps on it, they're stunned for 3 seconds and take 30 damage. She has 2 of these with an individual cooldown of 20 seconds. They do not change depending on AB. The first ability is Inque sends out a little puddle demon, which runs towards the nearest enemy and slashes at them. Each demon does 10 damage for as long as they are near the enemy. If the enemy teleports or moves away, the Inque demons auto-track onto the closest enemy. The amount of demons depends on the AB that Inque is on. So if she's on 1, she has 2, 2 she has 3, 3 she has 5. Releasing the demons also removes 25% of Inque's AB bar. The second ability is Inque can release 50% of her AB bar in a burst of ink, which sends out tiny ink blots flying out of her, each blot doing 5 damage, and the amount of ink set flying depends on what AB Inque is on. I won't specify exactly how much, but it gradually increases with each AB. For her ultimate, Inque enters an Inque Beast form where she cannot be killed at any damage she takes and is converted into shields instead of AB. She releases Inque in the form of gas, which obscures the opponent's vision and slows them down to an extent. Her primary fire is also converted into a melee swing of her Inque arms, which deals 70 damage per swing and have around 4 meters of range.
Oh, thanks. But I don't really need it, love. The ink will always rise once more. The stain that I am, I don't come off so easily. Go, my little devils. Back to delicacy. Time to let loose. Luck couldn't save you this time. Don't sweat it, sweetie. I was always better than you.
Yes, I know those weren't the most popular DC characters. I missed out on Batman and Superman. However, I will save those for later. If you do want to see something like this for more DC characters, let me know down in the comment section below. Leave a like, or maybe even let me know in the Discord. Anyways, thanks for watching. I also kind of forgot to do the holiday thing that I usually do, and as it cuts out to be, today is National Go Outside Day. So happy National Go Outside Day to everybody that celebrates it. Everybody get off your asses and get off Silk's song and go outside, touch some grass after you watch this video, and go say hi to your mom for me. She'll remember me.